It was instantaneous. I mean, hundreds, if not at this point, thousands of calls, emails, texts, obviously online postings. Capitol Police came to us and said, you know, we're going to put you on 24/7 security.
We've already been given additional security by the House.
Now I've got to worry about my personal safety and that of my wife, Gabby Giffords, who was already nearly assassinated.
The 6 Democratic lawmakers who posted this now viral video in which they reminded U.S. service members to disobey unlawful orders, now saying they are taking extra security precautions after President Trump accused them of sedition, quote, punishable by death, end quote. In a radio interview this morning, President Trump said he was not threatening death to the Democratic lawmakers, but suggested that the Pentagon may be looking into the lawmakers' video.
I mean, I don't know about the modern day things because, you know, modern day is a lot softer. But in the old days, if you said a thing like that, that was punishable by death. I'm not threatening them, but I think they're in serious trouble. I would say they're in serious trouble. I'm not threatening death, but I think they're in serious trouble. In the old days, it was death. That was a traitorous statement. That was a horrible thing to do. I believe they broke the law very strongly. I think it's a very serious violation of the law. You know?
All right, CNN legal national security analyst Carrie Cordero is now joining our panel. And Carrie, we were just talking with Jamie Raskin, who's of course a constitutional lawyer, about this. But what is your assessment of what the president was trying to claim right there? He's saying, well, I'm not threatening them with death, but what they did was traitorous and they could get into trouble for it. Is there any there?
No, I don't think so with respect to the allegations that he's making. But let me try to unpack a little bit the difference between the legal piece here and the policy piece here as it relates to national security. So on the law, what the members said in their video is correct as a matter of law. Members of the military, members of the intelligence community apparatus are permitted to not follow an illegal order. At the same time, with respect to the postings that the president put out, alleging that the members of Congress who posted this video have in some way violated the law, that is incorrect. I don't see anything in their statement that violates the law, whether it's seditious conspiracy or anything else that he might be alleging. So those are the two pieces that are clear on the law. As a policy matter, from a national security perspective, the statements that the president then put out have created an environment that obviously we had in the lead in there that contribute to the politicization of the military and national security community and the overall polarization and threatening environment that lawmakers face. All of that said, as a national security policy matter, I do question why these members put out this video, because if it was intended on the merits to give guidance to members of the military, the national security community, it is actually much more of a nuanced issue as to how those members of the military or the intelligence community would actually be able to not follow a particular order. There are examples of things that might be completely obvious: targeting civilians, engaging in torture, falsifying records. But the members of Congress in their video didn't articulate in any clear way what type of guidance they were actually giving to the workforce that they appear to be directing their message at. So I think it's a little more complicated and nuanced with respect to the message they were actually trying to convey.
And certainly, of course, the message as it might be received, very much dependent upon the person's position in the chain of command, job description in the national security community, et cetera. So Carrie mentioned that this creates and adds to a potential climate of political violence in our country. And Congressman Jason Crow's office today released some of the calls that his office has been getting in the wake of what the president had to say. Let's listen to some of it.
I hope whoever blows your brains out records it, because I would like to watch you stupid. You deserve to die. I hope you all get murdered.
I pray you die today, but not before your family does. I pray they die a painful death. Hurry up and die, you worthless traitor.
So, Jamie Gangel, I mean, this is an example of action and reaction. The President of the United States says something, takes an action, and there is a reaction from people who support him. And this helps underscore the reason why people look around and say, hey, this climate of political violence, this is real.
It's absolutely real. And we can just say Gabby Giffords. We can say Charlie Kirk. We can say what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. Both sides of the aisle. This is real. That kind of rhetoric can incite people to do things, whether or not the president means it. As he said, he didn't mean it. I just want to go back to something Kerry said about the video. First of all, it was very effective. It got under President Trump's skin. But that video by the members of Congress, yes, it did not go into detail. Maybe someone wants to write an op-ed about different concerns. But it's not in isolation. There is no longer a Secretary of Defense, former General Mattis, who has guardrails. And I have spoken to so many military sources, a lot of high-ranking military sources, who are very concerned about exactly this issue, about Trump, Hegseth using the military in ways they're not comfortable with. And let's just remember that scene at Quantico not too long ago, where they had this loyalty test of sorts, and
where they brought in all the generals.
All these leaders were brought in from all over the world. It was a bizarre scene in the military. So the video does speak to a real concern.
Yeah, we're seeing here, these are pictures of the president shaking hands with the Secretary of Defense, but we're not showing that the audience is just a sea of generals. The president at the time remarking that the crowd was particularly silent because, of course, Jeff, the protocol would dictate that there not be the usual applause and cheering that he might anticipate from an actively political crowd. Sort of underscores in some ways the point that these members of Congress are making.
For sure. I mean, that was an extraordinary moment there. And it was rare for the president because he even said at the beginning, if I'm recalling correctly, you don't have to be silent. They kind of do. But he's crossed the line visiting several military bases. I mean, I'm thinking back to when he was in Doha. I mean, he was speaking at the Al Udeid base there, and some young members of the military were applauding at some of the things he was saying. I don't blame them for that. He's the commander-in-chief they're visiting, but he riles up the military in ways. But to your point about the how the video got the president's attention, no doubt about it. So the politics of that, I think, were good for Democrats. They were clearly trying to show, hey, look, it was almost a recruiting video for new candidates next year. This is our national security bench. Right. If you are out there retiring from the military, perhaps you should run for office as a Democrat, so sort of showing that. But I do think, to Kerry's point, it's a nuanced conversation that gets lost in that.
Last word.
It's certainly a nuanced conversation. I think you can question the timing of the video, you can question the message, but at the end of the day, the president's words, I mean, he's the most powerful man in the world. To incite violence against members who also served in the military before, their lives are at risk, and that's incredibly dangerous.